Welcome to the Pre-Established Creative Podcast, a podcast in which myself, Connor Burr, and my girlfriend Matisse talk about our plight to become better creative people. So join us each week as we talk about that. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pre-Established Creatives Podcast. We finally have Matisse back after 2 weeks absent.
Yes.
How have you been, Matisse?
Busy and good.
Busy and good.
Busy and good.
That's good.
I guess.
It's nice to have you back. It's kind of strange being back in the us chatting format, because the last 2 episodes were a bit more like really experimenting with the form.
I know.
And I think it made me realise that actually, as much as we were like, there's no set form yet, we just want it to be this kind of thing that can evolve. As soon as I started to do something different, it was like, I need to return to the original form.
Yeah.
So obviously...
No, but I think the last 2 episodes have been really good. I mean, it's been strange, like, being a listener of it.
Did you actually listen to them?
Of course I listened to them. Why would I not? I'm like,
I
I'm part of this podcast. Of course I would.
Okay, that's good.
No, yeah, I thought your one last week was super cool.
I was pretty happy with it, yeah.
And yeah, I guess it's kind of nice to have like a break from the different form, you know, and it's almost like we could have like a series or something running through where like every third one is either one of us doing like a one-on-one kind of talking through the creative process.
I reckon it'd be cool if you tried your hand at doing one by yourself.
I feel like it'd be a bit difficult though with writing, like, because with your music one you could play it and then you could just talk over top of it, and it's like I don't understand how that would work for a piece of writing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could, I suppose you'd have to be comfortable just like talking about your thoughts as you're trying to write them down.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could be like, okay, I've just written this part, and read out a part that you've written, and then be like, I feel this way about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I could kind of like review my own work or like edit it, parts that I'm not happy with. Yeah. But then I kind of feel like my thoughts are my writing, almost. Like, yeah. Well, for some of the pieces that I'm writing anyway, like either the like self-reflections and personal development, and even some of my like creative content.
What if you could even do it like you annotating a book or something? If you found like a specific chapter or a specific part of a book that you really enjoyed, you could just read that out and then stop at parts to be like, I really like this part for so and so and so and so. Because you already do that annotating your book in the margins.
And I guess that would be helping me get better at articulating as well, because it's like, I almost, like, my initial response to you being like, oh, you should like record yourself annotating a book and say why you like it and stuff. Yeah. Is like, no, well, that's why I write, because I can't explain properly how much I like something. So
yeah, it's really interesting. I think it'd be a good something for you to try. I think you should try it, because it might. Because when I was doing mine, I had a moment where I was like, this fucking sucks. I'm getting nowhere. Because I think the last episode was 12 minutes. Yeah. And it was an hour and a half of me jamming. Yeah. Cut down to 12 minutes. Yeah. So that really goes to show how much shit there was. Yeah. And there definitely were a lot of times where I'm like, this is garbage, I'm not getting anywhere. I think it's
an hour and a half, that's a long time. Yeah. I mean, not really. Like, if I think about myself, like, writing, it's like an hour can either go by super slow or super fast. So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it went by fast, but it was like going back was like, okay, cool. And then I spent an extra 40 minutes to an hour just listening back through it and being like, okay, so when are the points that I actually want to come in and talk? Like, when is it not just garbage? When is it me? Yeah. When is there actually something worthwhile to talk about? And then it was even interesting when I published it and I was showing it to you. Yeah. And you said, like, it's good, but there are definitely parts where you're being too funny. You're not being genuine. I thought you could try and be a bit more. And fuck, I was trying to be so genuine. Yeah. Like, I had to re-record so many parts, because I was like, it'd be really funny if I did this. And it's like, no. Yeah. Like, I can try and have funny parts, but no, it can't be like, I'm joking to protect myself from criticism.
Isn't it funny how, like, I was just thinking now that, so say you were like, I've been jamming for an hour and a half, And only when you record yourself do you like measure it along this like vertical line, this horizontal line of being like, this is me half an hour into jamming, this is me this far into jamming. But like, if you hadn't recorded yourself and you presented a listener with a 3-minute song, you'd be like, this is the result of an hour and a half of jamming. If that makes sense. And it's like, I feel like the writing example is probably better. It's like, I could write and then I could say, I spent an hour and a half writing this, but it's like this bit of poetry like that's like 12 lines long or something like that. You know, it's like, it's kind of funny, like when you record it, it becomes this like horizontally measurable thing, and being able to see it like 15 minutes in, half an hour in,
as opposed to it is just, I had one part of the song years ago that I kind of pulled back, and I added to blah blah blah. It's like, was the song then 2 years in the making? Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a good point to make. It was really hard, to be honest, like listening back on the loop, and like, fuck, there's a lot of bad shit. But then it was also really interesting in that, because I was coming into it with the idea that I would then record myself talking about it, there were times where I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. Now I'm going to have to intentionally change to see if I can get a better result.
Yeah.
Especially there's a part where I'm like playing normal blues stuff, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to tune my guitar a certain way to try and get into a different mindset, which I don't usually do it as intentionally when I'm jamming by myself. And so it was interesting try and get that balance of like, look, I'm just playing around and seeing what can come out of it, but then also very much being like, something needs to come out of it. So I'm actually trying really hard to get something out of it.
I guess it's like publishing anything, or maybe not necessarily like publishing a book or something, or like, you know, producing a song, but just like being at this early stage of needing to produce something for documenting your progress. You know, it's like in the early process of being a creative, I guess, it's like when we're just producing stuff. So I'm producing stuff for my blog just to keep in the practice of writing, and then, you know, you're producing stuff for this podcast to get in the practice of producing a podcast kind of thing. It's like you do feel that pressure to produce something, and like you have to use it, because if you don't use it, you're going to get into the habit of never using the stuff, or never like getting the stuff up to a level where you're like, okay, I'm happy, send it off. Don't think about it
that's
again.
what we even talked about pretty early on, even before we started making this podcast, was like, everything that we work on is always in the works, and it's never like finalized to be like, that's it, now I'm moving on. And that's like, I definitely felt like since starting this podcast, I've realized how much that mindset of like, well, I'm working on it, I don't want to publish it yet, I'm working on it, holds you back from doing stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I even mentioned to Fraser, listener number 5. I've got them listed in my head. Rachel's 1, David's 2, Fraser's 3. Maybe he's Fraser's number 3 or something. I don't know. Fuck. Anyway,
we don't have it listed.
I don't have it listed. No, I don't. But I was talking to Fraser about how I was like, oh yeah, we have to record the podcast this week, and I was kind of like, yeah, like I'll do it, but I'm really not sure where it's going now, and I don't think it is becoming a chore, and I'm kind of being like, don't actually have as clear a vision for it as I first did, which is a weird headspace to be in.
But like, we initially started this as a documentation podcast, not like an entertainment one, so it's like, it doesn't really need to have, in that sense, it doesn't necessarily need to have a vision or anything. It's just like, this is documenting our process to getting more confident.
Well, I suppose even
our creative fields.
Yeah, well, I suppose even like, you could make an argument to say the podcast has been a pretty like primary thing that I'm working on. Yeah. A primary product that I'm working on. And I think I need to shift it to be a secondary product that's like, I'm actually working on music, and I have a podcast as a side gig, as opposed to what it is now, is the podcast is my thing that I'm doing. Yeah. Well, do we want to talk, have you like worked on anything I suppose, over the last couple of weeks that have been gone that you'd want to mention? Or do you want to get into talking about how we didn't really do a lot?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I had last week I was visiting family, which was really good, and I'm happy I visited, and then I went straight back into work, like 4 full-on days of work in a row, and I just didn't produce anything. Like, even though I had my rule of like every second day, it just like went out the window. And like that's okay, because like it's really important to visit family, and I didn't want to, like, I was having this debate in my head before I went up, like, do I take my laptop or do I leave it? And I was like, oh, I'll leave it and I'll just write from my phone. And then so I left on Monday, and I got to Thursday and I was like, oh, I haven't even posted a blog post. Like, I fully forgot about it.
Yeah.
Totally. So that was something. And yeah, so I just feel like I haven't really produced anything, but it's okay because I actually had reason. Like,
yeah,
my energy was completely elsewhere. It wasn't like me making excuses for not doing it, if that makes sense. It's like, you know, my sister just had a baby, you know, it's like I was like meeting her, helping my sister, blah blah blah, and then working full days, like over like 8 hours a day every day. So
and you really just jump back into it as well.
Yeah, so I was like, there was no time really.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be too hard on myself, because like I can't really help those kind of weeks.
Yeah.
But I just don't want that to become a habit.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna...
Of justifying, like... Of identifying, like, busy times when they're not necessarily busy.
Because what I was gonna ask was... Because you did a blog post yesterday. When you, like, sat down to do that blog post, like, how were you feeling after taking a week off? Did you feel yourself be like, oh, this is something I actually have to get back into doing?
Yeah.
And did you feel yourself kind of being like, or I could say that I'm busy and then I'll get around to it tomorrow?
I wasn't like, I could say, I wasn't thinking at all like I could say I'm busy and I'll do it tomorrow. Like I fully knew I had to do it, but I just didn't know to what degree of completeness I was going to do it to. Like, I was like, oh, I could just leave it. I could just finish it after this paragraph and kind of wrap it up, and it'd be a bit half finished, but like, whatever. Like, it's something.
It is what it is.
But then I kind of worked through that, because a specific piece, like, I really like it, and it's about like flying home, and I always write about flying home. Like, well,
I think it's one of your better pieces.
I mean, when I say that, it's like I haven't posted a
flying blog, but you've
got
flying
post yet.
But you do have quite a few in your notebooks.
Yeah, like I just find it like a really like intense time of self-reflection. That like 60 to 70 minute flight to Hamilton, I just like stare out the window. I always change my seat to a window seat just so I can like stare out the window, listen to music, and reflect on my life. Like, it sounds like really
poetic.
No, not poetic, but what's it called when you craft the perfect scene? It's not necessarily like real. It's like you're kind of
like fabricated.
Fabricated, yeah. It's like, it sounds fabricated, but like,
well, sounds contrived, and
I love it. And I'm sorry, like it's.
I love it.
It's a really fun thing.
It's cool, because it definitely is. It's interesting that you took a week off, and you didn't post anything, you got slack, but then you came back with a real banger. Like, I think you came back with one of your stronger pieces.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably one of the better things you've done.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because I think you could even translate that to me doing episode 5, last week's podcast. Was I had been slack, I hadn't played a lot of guitar, and I hadn't done a lot of anything really. I had like let myself slip into like, I'm just gonna watch Gordon Ramsay reacts to Kitchen Nightmares things on YouTube because I'm a piece of shit. Excellent. No, terrible.
Yeah.
And then like sat down and like, I need to do this properly. And like resist the urge to be slack and lazy. And I feel like I came out with one of the better things I've produced.
Yeah.
It's interesting, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely felt like I mean, one thing that I suppose this week's really shown to me is you're telling yourself excuses when you're like, I'm too tired, or I don't have the time. And I know we've talked about that before, but this week really honed that in.
Yeah.
Of like, I feel like it's a feeling that wells up inside me of like being lethargic and being a piece of shit, and it's something that I've been more conscious of. But there's come moments where I've actively decided to engage with that lethargy and engage with that kind of like slackness.
Yeah.
And when I did the podcast, it was like realizing that it was coming up and being like, no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. It was a nice self-reflective moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good to like catch yourself out in that, because it is just like a snowballing thing.
Yeah.
It's like you have one lazy day, it breeds another lazy day, you're rolling down that hill, gaining speed, or gaining what? Well, that's probably not the right metaphor, because you're not gaining speed.
You're gaining weight.
There we go. Oh, I like that one.
That's very collaborative.
Yeah, excellent metaphor. Go team. Yeah. So if you can like stop that, take a hard left.
And this is when the podcast becomes an advice podcast, where we say, for all those listeners at home, you just gotta like be aware of when that nasty old lethargy demon shows his ugly face.
What podcast are you listening to?
It's Magic Lessons.
What?
Yeah, if you listen to episode 4 with Aaron and Rachel, we talk about it. It's the chick who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Fake fan.
No, Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah, but you didn't listen to the podcast.
I did listen to the podcast. I just haven't thought about it in 2 weeks. Sorry.
Fake fan. Okay, Anyway, so we've had a bit of a rambling chat about being a bit lethargic. I've also definitely noticed, given that the last 2 episodes were a bit more kind of like, okay, I'm experimenting with the form, I didn't really set myself goals as much. When I was with Rachel and Aaron, I set myself the goal or challenge of telling people that I'm not as comfortable with or I'm not as close with about the podcast. And that was largely only extended to Rachel and Jacob, the flatmates. Jacob subscribed to us on YouTube, by the way. Shout out to listener number 7.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. I'm definitely feeling this podcast is not as close to me as I first did. I'm much more happy to be like, oh yeah, I do this thing, by the way, check it out if you want, and if you think it's shit, fine. Like, I'm not taking it to heart as much.
That's good, because it's like you're getting a bit of distance between what you're creating, so you can like accept criticism and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And
without being like, oh, what? Oh my god, he thinks that. Oh.
And it was interesting because I put episode 5 on SoundCloud initially, because I just had the audio and it was like midnight, and I put it on SoundCloud, so I had it there. And then the next day, Jacob was like, oh, by the way, I subscribed to you on YouTube. And I was like, oh fuck, I was going to put it up on YouTube tonight, and I like put it off for like 2 days because I was like, oh, Jacob's going to listen to it, and he's good at music, and he's going to listen to me be bad at music, and he's going to judge me. And then I was like, oh, it's just that little demon showing his band face. So I was like, well, I was like, okay, this is something that I have to like, I realized being like, okay, this is me trying to like hold, I'll just have to put it up there, and I'll just have to deal with the criticism as it comes. So I suppose that's something that's good that's come out of it. But I was going to my point was mostly, I haven't set myself goals, so I don't really feel like as structured in my creative process.
Yeah, but in like the context of last week's episode, it would have been weird at the end to be like, by the way, my goal is to, it's like, that would have been really odd, so that's fine.
Do you also want to know something? You're doing so proud of me. So at the end of last week's episode, I like let it like fade out, and because the nature of it was very like, like nostalgic almost, or like, wow. That was a journey. It was so hard not to finish that, have a fade out, and then... This week's episode is brought to you by Audible. You would have been very proud of me.
I was proud, because I listened to it, and I didn't hear it. So...
Yes, can't play.
Excellent.
So should we try and set ourselves some challenges now, and some goals?
Yeah, what do you want to do as a goal?
I really don't know.
You were going to ask me first, weren't you? And you're going to think about it.
No, I
wasn't.
I wasn't.
I know your tactic, and I'm meeting you.
I wasn't.
Oh,
hey.
Sorry.
I wasn't, really. I was going to more say I'm at a complete loss. I feel a bit like I'm stagnant for goal ideas. I mean, I was organising to try and do a jam with Fraser and Jordan this week, but I don't think it's going to happen, especially with us going away this weekend.
Well,
I mean, I was thinking possibly of learning a song or two that I could take up to the batch and play for people, or just take my pedals and shit up at the batch.
I think you should make something a bit more...
Yeah.
Like, that's a bit average.
Yeah.
Not that you have to have, like, an amazing goal every week, but it should just be something that you're, like, definitely set on doing.
And, like, trying to push myself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was even thinking of more just keep practicing guitar. Because, I mean, last night when I was trying to...
Yeah, but you could make it, like, I have to practice, like, 4 times a week. Not, like, keep practicing guitar. Because, like, you can't hold yourself accountable to that. Can you?
Yeah. Well, what I was more going to say was, like, last night how I was trying to teach myself From the Sun. Like, I got a bit like, oh, this is hard. I should, whatever. I'll just, like, fuck around. And then I was like, nope, I got to push through with it. So I was going to more say my challenge could be, like, keep practicing guitar and just try to, like, push through. Be more conscious of when I can feel myself wanting to stop myself from doing better, I suppose. Because I think it will be a bit of a rush.
How can you do that?
How can I do that is, like, recognize when I want to quit. If I'm trying to learn a new song, or try and learn new songs, I guess this week would be the tangible goal. And the more abstract would be, like, be more aware of when I can feel that blockade coming, or when I want to tell myself, oh, this is too hard, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, no, I have to do it for another 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a good... there you go. You can be like, when I want to stop, that means I have to keep going for another 20 minutes. And then I can stop.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you can say you want to learn 1 new song this week, or 2. Not learn new songs. How many do you want to learn?
Fine. Yeah, I'm going to try and learn...
Let's get some gritty goals going.
Gritty goals. Yeah, I'm going to learn 1 new song this week.
Okay.
And it's going to be a hard song. It's going to be a song that I can't get my fingers around the chords, and I'm going to have to try and... I will get my fingers around those chords.
Yeah.
Now, Matisse Vincent, it's on you.
Now you're going to grill me.
Now you're in the hot seat. What's your goals?
Well, I have some ideas.
Wrong! It needs to be concrete.
Well,
How many ideas?
No, I'm discussing it with you.
2 ideas. I want it. No more, no less.
I don't have to involve you in helping me set goals if you don't want to. I can just tell you my goal, and you can be like, okay. I was opening it up to...
Oh, I was just having a joke.
To collaborate.
I was having a joke. What's your goals? You got a couple of ideas going.
Yeah. So I have a couple of ideas going that I potentially want to build on and start something of my own. I'm not going to go into too much detail because...
That's for episode 7.
No, it's just... I don't... Like, they're just ideas at this stage. Like, they're nothing overly concrete. So, I don't know. I think I kind of want my goals to be around that rather than, like, writing based. More like potentially produce one kind of, like, business idea. Or...
Oh, okay.
That's not just like, oh, well, I was thinking about this and these values and this gap, or, I mean, that is a business plan, but, like, have all of it kind of, like, I'm doing, there, anyway.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to have a bit more, want to have more business ideas. Okay, so would it be fair to say, like, you've got some ideas rattling around that aren't to do with writing, and you want to develop those ideas a bit more?
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone with writing.
I want to be at the place where I can actually tell someone about my idea and be semi-confident in what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Not necessarily that it's like it's a good-to-go business plan, but just have, like, develop a clear idea of at least one of them. So maybe instead of focusing on, like, all 3.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say 2 or 3 before? I don't know. I've kind of got 3.
Yeah.
But just focus on one.
Okay.
And try and flesh it out a bit more before refining it.
Sure. And how are you going to do that? Because that still sounds quite abstract. So what would be your practical part of that?
Well, practical would be just focus on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So pick one.
Mm.
I've got some documents I've been working on, so maybe just like narrow it into one document, get all my ideas down, read over them, refine, read over them, refine.
So would you want to say like maybe this time next week you want to have like one document that you can be like happy being like, yep, this is a rough
outline of what I want to do.
Yeah, it's a clearer vision of what I'd want to do, and maybe even just one aspect.
And even if that like refinement and development means I'm like, oh, I've actually got nothing here. Well, then that's something.
Yeah, that's something. Like, that'd be something interesting to jump off.
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird because it's not necessarily like a place I want to talk about it while I'm being like recorded.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's fine.
Like,
we can just keep calling it the idea.
Yeah. And I don't want it's not even like, ooh, she's going to release it next season on the podcast. It's like, no, it's like literally me being like, well, my attitude at the moment is like, I'm struggling to get work in for a business that I really want to work for. So I'm kind of just like, well, why don't I start thinking about things I could do instead?
Yeah.
Like, I could start something myself.
Okay. Not
necessarily like a full-on like to be like employing people and stuff, but just something that's got a bit of
I think that's even interesting that you're wanting to like branch out away from writing as well. I mean, it's interesting, and like you even talking about how you bought a maths textbook to add to your writing, because I'm sure that as you try and explore other parts of your interests, you'll also see that inform your writing as well.
Yeah.
Which could be cool.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
That sounds good. So I will be practicing more guitar songs, one specifically, and Matisse will be working on 1 to 3 business ideas.
1.
You said you had 3 ideas and you'd like to refine them down.
But I want to focus on 1 this week.
Okay, focus on 1 idea.
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll be stronger and better.
Stronger.
Okay. How did you feel? Well, because we're wrapping up, right? How did you feel jumping into this episode?
I felt kind of good. I felt like prepared. I set the table up.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
I got the peppermint oil burning, so it's nice and like focusing environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's good. It's not like, I don't know, sometimes when we sit in the lounge, it can be a bit
casual.
Yeah, and I feel a bit less focused, and I can kind of like lean on something. So I don't know, it feels very like focused. And even though we did ramble at the start, like I didn't mind that. Well, I didn't think it was bad.
No.
I don't know.
I like having you back.
Thank you.
It is nice. There's a different vibe to it. And it feels a lot more like a conversation between us rather than like me, Connor, your host, has people over or something, you know? It's nice. It's reminded me that this is meant to be like me and you working together as opposed to just me with my idea that you'd sometimes jump on. So yeah, it's been nice. Okay, cool. Are you good to wrap up then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. I won't do it.
Are you not going to do it?
Well, no, I know, because I know you hate it.
No,
So, this episode is brought by Podcast Audible!